No.
I've already started Audacity.
Okay,
But that's fine.
So you're already recording.
I have been, yeah.
Okay, and then
but we're going to do the claps anyway. So hang on, wait. We're not all going to clap at the same time.
Okay.
Rab claps, Dow claps, I clap.
Okay.
What was this,
All
man?
right. Okay, so I'm
What
clapping.
was this ready to clap?
What's that?
You were like this, like ready to pounce
I'm
on
ready to clap.
Harriet or
Like a
something.
crap.
So I'm ready to. I'm clapping now.
Yes, and make
Okay.
sure that it's on the camera. The camera can see you clap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. See, Dow,
Yeah.
we can't hear it.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, very clever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Discord
Jeez.
knows.
So
But
what? Are you clapping as well?
We've all clapped.
That's it. We're started, mate.
We've all done it, Rab. And as you'll see on
Okay.
Audacity, there should be a massive spike. So all we need to do is
Yes.
line up all three of our spikes, and we should be fine.
Brilliant.
Oh, we are coming with pure technical knowledge here.
Look at this.
I'm a producer.
I'm actually very happy with you, Rab. The amount of grief we've given you is going to end up creating something
Unwarranted.
beautiful. So, don't know about that.
Yeah,
Unwarranted.
happy's probably a bit too far from my aspect. Yeah, I'm waiting for the final product.
Well, yeah, I'm saying I'm happy now, but I haven't actually heard the outcome yet. So,
Yeah.
We'll get a message
I'm happy that you're
tomorrow
taking
morning.
initiative and trying to
Did he?
improve.
We told him to, and he was giving us grief back.
But
I
he's actually done it. So.
I was giving you grief back because I never volunteered to be the tech guy. Like Alex was like, "Oh yeah, let's make a podcast," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do something." and then Joe was like, "Yeah, come on, then I'll join in as well." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Rab, you've done the stuff, right? You've got that downloaded." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
I feel like this is definitely not how the conversation's gone.
Yeah.
And I think
We'll pretend it has for you.
And what's worse, I think all the conversations we've been having in the past couple of days, I had a dream last night that Joe was doing his own podcast, and we had Puka or somebody, really weird dream, and we were having real good fun. We were in Washington, the Washington Worlds Hotel. I remember it really clearly, and I accidentally swore, and then you didn't speak to me anymore.
Right.
It was a
Let's just
really-
lower expectations. We will not have guests that good ever. So let's just start there.
It was a really weird dream.
And we're also not going to do it on tour. We can barely get it done in our own homes. So
Oh, could you imagine? We could do it on tour one time.
Yeah.
Everyone in one place.
No,
Yeah.
but
an
shout
EUIC
out
or something we could, yeah.
Shout out to
people-
Connor for giving tips as well, just on
Yes, good.
how to do it. I'm sure he's listening.
I feel like we had to tell you what to do, Brad, every single moment. I saw you struggling on Discord alone, so I was like, oh, I've got to join him now if he's just there by himself yesterday.
So I was going in on Discord to record myself, and then Alex just popped up. He just ran up, and he was like, "What are you doing here?"
Can you just as a little thing, Rab, can you right click on both me and Dow and see if our user volume's the same in Discord? Just for my peace of mind. Not that it doesn't matter at all anymore, but if you right click on Dow
Right
and
click on
just
that.
look at his user volume and tell me what percentage it says.
On Discord.
Yeah.
There'll be a nice user volume bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dow's on 83.
And can you do the same for me?
Yeah, you're on 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, now
So
you're-
remember when I
just
said
like-
you remember when I said those bars were different and why Dow was so quiet on
No.
that is you.
It's all right.
As
We
as
fixed it.
expected.
We're fixing it.
Just so
It's
that
fine.
that's on the record. Right, I think we can start then.
Yeah. You're the host.
Good. Welcome back, everyone, to Spill the TCG with Rab at the helm, editing it all. There should be no issues.
Look at the face.
We'll keep you posted. Right. Right. How was everyone's week? I think we left off last week saying that it was the end of the football season. So let's start there. Dow, how was your week?
Oh man, it was. I mean, the Sunday was great, right? It was a great bit of weekend of football. I've kind of told you guys already how I'm in my draft fantasy league, and it came to the wire, and was literally at the end of the game. We put our phones down so we wouldn't look at the scores, look at any sort of updates coming in for the last 15 minutes of the sort of all 4 o'clock kickoffs. So we had no idea who had won. Suddenly there were random goals. You know how there was someone in the crowd who put the 2 signs up for the Arsenal game just to kind of get the crowd riled up as a joke. I'm pretty sure at one stage one of our mates came in and said, "Oh, Wolves have scored." And we were like,
that changes everything.
"Oh, that's my clean sheet gone. That's -2 for the goalkeeper." And then we were like, "Oh, he's ruined it for all of us." But we found out it was like at the end it was disallowed or something. But yeah, I ended up losing, but it's fine. It's fine. You know, it's another season.
You were robbed.
But great weekend. It was football was great.
Yeah. Did you watch
United
the boxing
won?
as well? It was such a great weekend of sport. The boxing was absolutely incredible as well.
I mean, that kicked off at like 11:30, and it was a pretty good prime time for us in the UK, right? Yeah.
Stunning.
Fury kind of dominating some of the earlier rounds, and then getting rocked pretty badly by Usyk. It was quite a special moment. It was amazing to see him bounce around the ring.
Yeah. That's going to be played for years and years. It's more iconic than just a normal knockdown, right? Because it's just so wobbly leg, like comedic almost. How he just, through sheer willpower, like stays on his feet. It's like an anime, but he's just getting thrown around like a rag doll. It's insane. And I think for his own, he probably hurt himself more in the long run by not just going down either as well.
100%.
Especially because it's called as a knockdown anyway. Anyway, that's boxing talk. I also went to the football on Sunday to watch Chelsea live. It was a lot of fun. Chaotic game as ever. But interestingly now, so I was watching a lot of things post-match because end of the season, all the players walk around and clap and everything. Poch stayed on the pitch during Thiago Silva's send-off because he's retiring. And that was a long, drawn-out thing where the crowd were going nuts for him.
He's not retiring, right? He's going back.
He's going back to Brazil, right? But yeah, he's leaving Chelsea. So he had this massive, amazing send-off, which was really heartwarming and whatnot. And Poch stayed for that. They had a big hug and everything. But then when all the players walked around the stadium, Poch and his team all just went straight down the tunnel. And I think that's really telling now. Obviously, it wasn't televised at that point because all the coverage went to Liverpool and City. But I think I remember being at the stadium being like, what does it mean? What does it mean? But obviously, it meant that he knew what was coming for him. And that's been Celtic for me all week since because we've had our manager sacked and that's horrific. I know this isn't a football podcast.
We've loved the memes.
I was about to say.
It's like the only other thing in my life right now that's not Pokemon related. But yeah. And then, I'm playing new set stuff as well during the week. Ram, what about you?
Yeah, no Pokemon from me, unfortunately.
Not at all.
I went to a cup on Saturday. Came home with the dub.
Hang on. What time did you set off?
I set off. I can't drive. So I...
Just throw it out there.
I doubt on my muse. My partner Harriet, so I got her up at about 6 to drive me to the train station. Cardiff.
Your pregnant partner.
Yeah.
Poor Harriet.
It doesn't matter.
How many months in? How many months in now?
Her medical status doesn't matter.
It's quite important. I would have thought.
It's not relevant. It's not.
It's not relevant.
Set off pretty early, but it came up well in the end. So I won that cup, and then Celtic were playing the same day.
Hang on, what did you play? What did you play at the cup?
So going through the cup, so I took Lax, took Azul's list. I didn't have the second Rotom. I wasn't a massive fan of second Mimikyu, so for some reason I just popped in Morwile, just as a fifth.
Yeah,
stall.
You played heavy ball Morwile instead, right?
I played 2 Hisuian, we went really well. It was a massive cup. It's probably the biggest cup I've been to in quite a while. 48 players, which is rare for the UK as well.
Especially end of season, that's a lot.
Yeah,
I know.
I told you last week that area was actually popping off recently.
Yes,
just from
really
what I've seen online. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never even been there.
It's a lot of locals. So they must have a really good scene there. Ran really well. Shout out to Bath TCGs who ran it. There was like a good group of judges. There was about 5 judges, all at the helm. We started straight away, just on time. 6 rounds of Swiss. I came out with the highest resistance I think I've ever had. I think it was like 80%.
Busted.
Crazy.
And we played best of 3 for those across the pond, by the way, even in our cups. So that's 6 rounds best of 3 is a lot.
It's a lot of Pokemon. My only loss in Swiss was against the Zard. I sat down and they were like, Snorlax, I was hoping to face you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Didn't know why. I just thought they were just confident. But they played like, and I hadn't played against it yet, but it was double Turo, Palpad, Prime Catcher, Regieleki.
Yeah, and Lecky's the big difference maker, I feel.
And like I was thinking playing around it, I was like, at best I can get a draw here. Like at best. And just lost because I started Sandshrew Pidgeot. Really like on my last ebb, I just threw down a Airy because it was the only sport I could play. Got rid of 2 rare candies, so I was like, okay, not bad. I had Misfortune Sisters in my hand as well, so I was like, okay, I could do something. Just top deck Darwin, and I was like, whatever, whatever. Not my day. And then
well,
top
you
8
won, so it was your day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Top 8 paired.
Did that guy make top cut? The guy who beat you?
Yes.
He did. Okay.
So they made top cut and they were facing another Zard in top 8. And I knew the other Zard wasn't probably playing at least that many techs, you know.
Yeah.
Then in top 8 played against Future Box. Then in top 4 played against that Zard, the other one. Only played 1 Turo. And then in the finals, so my top 4 game finished because the guy was like, right, if you win game 1, like we're not playing a game 2. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever, you know, your choice. It's your choice. Yeah. You know, it's your choice. And then I had time to watch the other top 4, and it was Raging Bolt, Sandy Shocks versus Dialga. And some of the people around were like, oh, what do you fancy playing against here? What's your mindset at? Where's your mind at? Where are you thinking? Where are you thinking against this man?
They really sort of get into your brain.
I looked at the guy and I was like, I don't care. Like anything. Anyway, I played against Raging Bolt, which, funny enough, I paired round 1 as well. And yeah, there was quite a big crowd for a League Cup final as well.
There was a crowd.
There was
most people just leave.
I know.
Why aren't you leaving?
It was like 8 o'clock at that point as well. So I'd been there for like a good 14. I'd been awake for 14 hours at that point. So like at that time, I'm usually like winding down. But what was funny was the boys that were traveling with me, none of them made top 8. In the time that I got to finish,
funny.
It is really funny. In the time that I got to play all of my games, they played a entire pre-release tournament, and then played another like best of 3 tournament amongst themselves on a table. They put away all the tables. Like if you look at my X,
it's just one table. It's those funny. 4. Yeah.
It's very
That's
funny.
Hilarious.
We've all been there, right? We've all been there alongside some friends. The same.
I remember playing Disney Monopoly with Tamal for like 4 hours.
Oh, that was. I remember that tournament. That was.
I'm not lying. It was real.
Huddersfield?
I think it was. Yeah, it was definitely northern. Yeah.
I remember because it had the Princess Tower in the middle.
It sure did.
And they were both like sweating playing it.
The things we do when we're out of cut.
And then I played the challenge on Tuesday as well, which I came top 4. But that was pretty good.
Was that the same deck?
Same deck. Azul's list it's very good.
Did you play it in a best of 1 challenge? You said.
No, not best of 1. No.
It was a best of 3 challenge.
I have played Snorlax best of 1. I played it in Liverpool, the second day
Sunday Cup.
Top 16 of that. Top 16. 20
So,
points.
20 points. Good.
Can't snuff that.
Right. Well, with that, that's probably everyone's last tournaments pre Twilight Masquerade, because of course its releases tomorrow, right? I'm hoping to get my
Yes.
boxes tomorrow, and it's now on PTCG Live, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit today. But at first, I just wanted to get both your impressions of any of the Twilight Masquerade stuff, if you've been watching any streams, have managed to play any games, either in person or on live or on anything else, or just like what the general sentiment is around the release, because I've been watching a lot of the streams from the Americans, because we can't play on live too easily. And obviously I'm still playing on Lim Sim and all that other stuff. So I just want to touch base on where you think the sort of mentality is around stuff Twilight Masquerade at the moment.
I mean, everything that I've seen online is, and I think you messaged it in another chat earlier today, Joe, that everyone's basically testing their decks against Dragapult, and just kind of showcasing why maybe Dragapult isn't tier 0 or whatever it could be right now, or wherever people have been putting it or placing it initially. But yeah, everyone's just going, well, I'm going to try whatever I'm playing right now, whether it's that new Raging Bolt Ogrebon EX deck, something that just completely like one-hit KOs big EX Pokemon, and just sort of testing it against Dragapult first, and that's kind of what you're starting to see a lot of the kind of content at the moment. I guess the first thinking and the first thoughts from my mind is that maybe Dragapult's just not yet been figured out, and I think there's still some way to get there, because it's early doors, right? Still very, very early.
No doubt.
I
What
agree.
about you, Rab?
I think going into this set, everybody's got their obvious favourites that they want to test first. So they got Dragapult, they got Blissey, but all of the cards, I guess, apart from like Festival, nothing has a strict, understood list. Like, this is the best way to play this. This is how this should be played. And I think that's what will be really exciting going into NAIC for anybody going into that tournament. Because
Dal's not excited, he's terrified.
Yeah,
it's too much work.
Because there's
Too
so
much up
many
in the air.
there's so many different ways to play these new EX Pokemon, Greninja as well, and I mean you might see a splattering of Palafin, I guess.
Mahone's trying to push Palafin, I know that much.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool mon, right? Like it's a gimmicky, it's a gimmick,
Yeah,
but
it is a gimmick for sure.
It's fun, but I know a lot of my locals have been. And a lot of my good friends actually are looking at Blissey a bit more seriously. Why instead of Dragon Ball, I don't know. But put it this way though, my pre-order list was just 4 flute, nothing else. really cheap set for me.
That is brilliant. You saw my buy list, you saw the flute, and you went, yeah,
Just
yeah.
4 of them actually. Got it in secret rare.
And
No.
checkout, brilliant.
5
That's
quid.
great.
5 quid.
So Blocklax is actually an interesting one, because I think there's so much chaos going on with like the other shiny decks and whatnot. It could be low-key like under the radar
Again,
for
yeah.
us, especially because Japanese tournaments are disadvantageous for Blocklax compared to best of 3 Blocklax for us. So it also flies under the radar based on their small amount of results, which I think is interesting. I think so. Snorlax is certainly worried about Lugia, and I don't know if you can play like an Azul list and just hope to dodge Lugia, because it's quite popular right now. I think you have to play Lugia response tech cards, which is one of the only challenges. But that's basically been Snorlax's big challenge for like the last 3 formats, and it's been fine. So Blocklax is interesting.
I don't think people trust Lugia that much, even with this new legacy energy. I still think the consensus is still going to be the same of like, oh, Lugia. Oh, okay. You playing that, you? Oh, well,
I mean,
why not?
even
Why
with
not?
Lugia, I really quite like Iron Thorns EX, just
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
card.
I agree.
And with Miraidon, obviously it done well over in Japan, obviously nice and early on again. And it might come swings and roundabouts. It's one of those things that might keep it in check.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like people will always try Lugia, because we saw how powerful it was back in the day. Obviously, it took a massive hit with rotation and loads of sort of cards leaving the format for both the times it's been around. But it's still popping up with like results here and there as well. So it wouldn't be surprising to see it in a good percentage of NAIC and
I think
tournaments.
it's easily in the top 5 of decks, I think, even with its inconsistency. Plus, Carmine is a genuine like consistency buff. Even if you just play one for an Ultra Ball Fish early game target, I think that's actually a big deal for the deck. Just touching back on what you were talking about, Alex, with Dragapult, I find it so interesting, the like narrative around the deck. I think because it's come in so hot from Japan of being like, this is like on the pedestal of S tier. I think the like hipster lean vibe is like, guys, it's not actually that good. We can all find ways to beat it. But it's like what you said, it's going to be centralized around Dragapult to begin with, I think. But I wonder if like a lack of results that we'll see in the next week or two will change that narrative in time for NAIC, or it's going to still be that like deck you have to respect so much. But also what's really interesting is that because the City League data or the tournaments in Japan were cut off on the 6th of May, it meant that they didn't have that development. So we're actually having to go that step forward. And like you said, with Dragapult lists, they were like sticking with the lists that had worked for them, and the format had just started to react with the Blissey upticks, the Raging Bolt Ogerpon upticks. The Dragapults haven't had that chance to respond yet, and that's what I think is still like coming. I think from the online lists and from the early lists from most content creators, it's all been like, here are the good lists from Japan, let's make our like 2 changes or whatever. But it's like you said, we have to now respect Raging Bolt Ogerpon as a matchup. We have to respect Blissey as a matchup. So warping our deck, similar to how Tord warped Charizard and like incorporated enough anti-control cards and also had Bibarel as an additional engine piece. Like figuring out the right engine for Dragapult's important, but also figuring out where it has to tech appropriately. Like today even, I just started cutting Radiant Alakazam and playing Radzard, and immediately that changes like 3 matchups. I think you're like way better into Miraidon with, if you play Defiance and Radzard, I think you're favoured into Don and favoured into Ogre Bolt as well. So, or Raging Ogre. I don't know what the best deck to, surely Raging Ogre is the best name
Raging
for that deck.
Ogre.
I don't know.
I like Raging Ogre.
So yeah, I don't understand the like it's not actually that good vibe, because I feel like it's more so like the list that you've started with haven't adjusted to everyone else who's already adjusted. So it's like the Dragon Ball players are playing a list that's like a month old when they need to just update it to respect the other archetypes, where all the other archetypes have come in, like you said, respecting Pult. So I think that narrative's going to shift, but I've heard all sorts from like, it's actually just bait, fraudulent trash, and I think that could like not be more wrong for how flexible that card is with how many engine pieces you can have alongside it.
I think it's just because of their mentality around people are trying the list, like you said, and figuring out, oh, maybe this list is favoured into this, and then just totally giving up.
Yeah,
because they
cannot,
they cannot find something that they like.
Yeah, it's
I
so
mean,
weird.
The list out of Japan, I mean, you Pidgeot, what else is it? Xatu, Zard. You can play just
Zone.
The Pult, Lost Zone. There's so many different ways of playing it, and like you said, those just slight changes in engine can put up your matchups spread to completely differently. So I can see why people are getting frustrated with it. Completely agree with that.
I really don't.
It's not trash.
I don't get the frustration at all. It's not performed trash in any of my test games, like at all. It's performed well, and when you make those adjustments, I feel like it's going to be the best deck, and I think I'm pretty confident that it's going to be like above 15% for NAIC.
I guess the gap is just
hate speech.
As you just said, the gap is figuring out what the best engines are, and that's where I guess a lot of the content creators I kind of wish were willing to maybe put that testing in and maybe have that information out there, but they're just too busy maybe testing against what the lists are currently. And
bro, I can't even play on live right now.
Yeah, Joe, do some work. Sorry. I mean,
but yeah, like I said, so I'm updating my lists daily on my Cube Koga at the very least, and Radzard's in there now, and double rescue board is in my list as well. So I am making changes actively. So at least my stuff's out there, and obviously, so the announcement of casters for NAIC was last week as well, or during the week. I can't remember when it was. When was it? It was on Monday, was it?
You hide that big grin of yours, Joe.
Oh yeah, I'm chuffed. Honestly, it's awesome to be fair. But it does mean that I have absolutely no bias. If you think I'm holding anything back for NAIC testing, I'm not, because I have no skin in the game at all. This is just my pure opinions. Not that I ever do anyway. To be honest with you, I try and be the most transparent with my testing as possible. But yeah, I'm just to quickly touch on the casting because it is like a milestone for me. It does mean that so me and Ross are the first TCG European commentators to go over to NAIC, which is really cool as like a milestone. And it does technically mean that Ross has completed the set as a caster, in that he will have casted in every single region, I believe, including Japan, which is his one-up on me, which is a pretty cool accolade. I think it might only be him and Puka that have done that. So that's pretty epic as a thing. Just to quickly go down the team. So it's me, Ross, Pablo, who it's his second IC, and I think he's the only person to have received 2 ICs this season. Shelby and Juancho as the 5, with Anna as a host as well. I don't know how many times she's hosted an IC. I felt like she's only ever hosted Worlds before, but I might be misremembering that.
I think this might be the first one, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first time, which is why it was a bit of a pleasant surprise to see.
Yeah,
Anna.
wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting to see her. You normally see her once a year. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It means I have a busy couple of weeks. I've got Bologna next week, and then I'm back home for a day, basically just to wash my clothes, and then I'm back out again to NAIC. I think we fly on the same day to NAIC, right, Dan? I think we're both flying on that Wednesday, the 5th. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I land probably like an hour before you, so I'll just stick around and
perfect.
We'll
it's
find
too easy.
Don't worry, figure it out.
How long are you going for, Dan? Just
I'm staying an extra night after I think Joe goes on a Monday.
Oh, okay.
So I leave Tuesday.
I think I fly Tuesday morning, but arrive Tuesday day because we gain that time back. I think that's what it is.
I think I fly Tuesday like late afternoon and get back like Wednesday morning because I've got still a stopover, right?
Yeah,
which is fine. I mean, just find a way to work at the airport for a little bit on a Wednesday.
Perfect. All right, cool. So yeah, that's our first impressions on NAIC. Is there? I might just jiggle around the order a little bit here. Have you guys got the late night results up? Was there anything that was like surprising to you? As we just I'll just run down the top 8 quickly. Lugia won. Snorlax got second. Gouging Fire got third. And as far as I'm aware, it didn't play any or many new cards. I think it's the list that did well at the Champions League, where it played the double Lucian and the double Grabber, which I can't believe anyone took that list and thought, yeah, that's the perfect 60, first of all. But yeah, then doing well with it again. Arceus Aerodactyl got
I was just
top
about
4.
To say, what's going on here?
Featuring the Cornerstone Ogerpon EX, which I think has had a really good first tournament in the online scene by the looks of things. Raging Bolt EX in the top 8. A Charizard Pidgeot with Greninja EX, as well as Turbo Miraidon and a normal Charizard Pidgeot with Bib were the top 8. So notably, there was no Dragapult in that top 8. In fact, the highest placing Dragapult was 25th, if I'm not mistaken, which is, I think, a surprise. And I mean, I've just been backing it to the hilt, and it's not done well in its first tournament. But give it time. I
think it's a give it time deck. Totally. I think it's got a very high skill cap as well. I think.
Yeah, I do think that sort of damage counter placement isn't always the most obvious place to put stuff, especially with so many new archetypes coming around and stuff. So I do think that's important. But I think the Raging Bolt's doing well. It was upticking in Japan, and I think even some Japanese websites are putting it tier S themselves. What do you guys think about that archetype? Outside of it, in theory, farming Dragger if you're playing hit point puff tools and switch carts.
We've had so many aggressive.
Do you think it has enough legs?
I mean, we've had so many aggressive archetypes in the format this past couple of sets, I guess. So it's hard to really pinpoint which is the best way to be aggressive. But I really do like the Raging Bolt. I think the engine is pretty simple enough to keep it up and running, which is what it's got going for it. I think the only weakness in it, I guess, is the fact that you have the lack of single prize Pokemon. To be able to get around of awkward prize mapping, but aggressive archetypes if you can get it up and running early. And I mean, Professor Sada is always good at that. Why not?
Yeah, it does have that feel of like the new age Roaring Moon from pre-rotation, right?
The question on my mind looking at this is, would I rather play this or Moon?
What, Moon now? Oh, it's way better than Moon now.
Yeah, take that out of your mind.
It's like Moon from pre-rotation, not Moon. Moon now is trash. Moon
This
EX,
is,
right?
yeah, I think as a big basic where you can retaliate quite simply with Professor Sada, of course, but then also having that HP buff to almost basically bring it out of that kind of one prize of range and sort of other aspects to overcome that. Mm-hmm. It's a really cool deck. It does kind of mean you are. I don't know how bad their engine is when you're like unfair stamped early and things like that. Right now,
it can't be great.
well, exactly that, right? And it's that. I think that's the scary thing about playing that deck, unless you can really sort of burst and turbo in and have maybe some sort of contingency, but an unfair stamp to 2, and then it feels real bad.
Just
I like. Nah. Tatsugiri and Mew EX, I think, is like the most you could possibly go. But yeah, plus Ogrepon's drawing cards here and there. But yes, I think Unfair Stamp is underutilized, especially if Ogre Bolt is going to be a thing. I think maybe this archetype is a reason why Iron Thorns could be going into like Miraidon decks, because I think Miraidon's quite unfavored into Raging Bolt just because 240 hit points is such an annoying number for them. They have to, blow stuff up with Raichu or constantly Gust. So it could be a reason for Thorns to go into Miraidon, which is interesting. And just Thorns to show up more in general. It could even go into Lugia itself, even, which is kind of wild. So I think that's an interesting early development. I think a lot of people love that Raging Bolt. I think Blissy's also seen like a lot more play than I expected as well. Maybe it's because its main benefit is that it's good into Pult, but it seems like one-hit KO decks are good into Pult and good into Blissey, which is its problem, perhaps. It's not too surprising that Charizard's still doing well. It just has that pedigree behind it. But the Greninja EX in Charizard's pretty interesting. Gives you that snipe potential, which gives it a new dimension, and it gives you like more type coverages, I suppose, as well. I know in Japan it had seen a bit of play, but I don't really know how I feel about the deck in general. It also played all 60 hit point Charmanders, which sounds so greedy. Like, what the heck? What do you think about Greninja? So, like, the main way I've tested Greninja is only with Frostlass, not with like any of this other stuff. So, what do you think about it just being like a early Pokemon that could also pull cards out the deck for you?
It's so much admin. So much to do.
Third stage 2 isn't the solution, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the attack is great, right? And it's very versatile, and you can get around very awkward.
You can also use Charizard to fulfill its 2 colorless attack costs as well, which is cool.
For sure, but would I be right? Yeah, I mean, like I said,
that is getting your third stage 2 up, of course.
It's a bit of an admin nightmare, That's how I think of it. I look at that list and I think I'd go nowhere near it.
I don't know how it's had space for the Eri Devo as well.
I think there would be too much going on in my head to try and get that up. I feel like you only have so many windows to be able to take advantage with. What's the attack called?
Mirage Barrage.
Barrage.
Yeah, I feel like there's only so many.
On that, aren't they?
There's so many opportunities to take advantage of that attack. You'll only have so many.
So many or not? No, okay.
You'll only have so many opportunities per game, if any, and then you've got a 7-card space in your deck that's completely wasted on this third stage 2.
It is absurd.
I guess what's really interesting is that you probably like. I don't know if this is the way forward with it, but you go early Greninja EX. You have this really sort of efficient attacker with your Pidgeot to then start building your Charizards for mid to late game, right?
You build, yeah.
I
also think it's massive against Lugia in that you can target their Minccino and Cinccino's when Charizard Pidgeot's bad, like one of its worst matchups is Lugia. So you can use the Greninja to just deal with their low hit point guys, so then they're only left with like worse attacking threats, because obviously they're not going to play Manaphy, right?
Yeah, so I mean I quite like it. I don't know how well it works in practice. I guess that's probably what I need to.
Certainly, it reminds me of the Meganium Swampert deck. It's like so Omega busted if everything's working smoothly, but there will be those hands where you're just looking at it, it's like, why is there a Greninja in my hand right now when I've only got a Pidgey and a Charmander on bench? It's gonna be so troll. But I think that's pretty interesting. I don't really know where I put my finger on like Miraidon hands versus future hands as well. Have you guys played enough of that to really know which one you like more? Obviously, Miraidon got the win in the Champions League, so a lot of people will have started there. But comparing it to future hands, both of them can play Thorns, obviously. For me, like one of the future decks' worst matchup was Charizard, so having this solution card in Thorns felt really appealing to me. And I do think it had a fairly decent placement. Yeah, in top 32 in 18th, it did. There was a triple Iron Thorns future deck. Do we think it's better or do you rate it high? Would you prefer to play this or Miraidon first of all? And like, is Charizard going to be enough of a presence for Thorns to be that like worthwhile include right now?
I feel like you can take advantage of a early game board state better with the future box than Miraidon. And that's the only probably the only reason I would play Future Box over Miraidon.
Interesting. So, Miraidon's Future Hands is much better at taking a 1 prize early game KO, but I think Miraidon's much better at taking a 2 prize early game KO.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to say the inverse. I actually prefer Miraidon.
Yeah.
It just feels nice to have that ability to pivot into the right options that you need to go into. So if you need to go into a big quick attacker, Raikou V, or go into a Miraidon with the Zapdos to hit 230.
Yeah,
it feels like a really good time to be able to utilize its actual attack and ability at the same time. And then of course you can still go into Iron Hands and try and use things like Iron Thorns EX if you want as well. That's just me. I guess you have the big blob potential. You just have a few more tricks up your sleeve rather than relying on something like Heavy Baton. And if that kind of just goes into the bin because you've been Dragapulted twice, it feels not great.
I think it might even hinge on Raging Bolt, honestly. If Raging Bolt's really popular, it puts me off Miraidon, but Future Hands can survive in that world, I think, a little bit better.
Yeah, I feel like both decks have a place in the meta. I don't feel like one deck would be played much more than the other. I think people will.
I don't know. I think Raging Bolt will be up there as the like big bung archetype. But I think like as the best hands user, I think that is up for debate, and I think one will be way more popular than the other.
I thought Ben was saying how both hands decks.
You think they'll see a similar amount of play? I thought one will be better as like their selling point is Iron Hands, right? But then it's like how you supplement that for other matchups. So I thought one would come out on top. I'm kind of leaning Future right now, personally.
I think Future, personally.
Mostly just because of the I like Miraidon's tempo, and that's going to be big into like Lugia, Dialga, Drago if that's a deck. Like the V-Star matchups, you still really want to be Miraidon. But definitely, if Ogre Bolt's going to be a deck, Raging Ogre. I can't say Raging Ogre with a normal.
Raging Ogre.
And I think Thorns really helps Zard as well. So like this like 3-4. I wasn't really expecting 3 or 4 Thorns in Future, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to me. At least to play 2. Maybe flip-flop Thorns and Hands.
I really like the 4 Thorns deck. The quad Thorns, nothing else.
It's not a deck. It's not a deck.
I thought it looked really nifty. I saw it come out. It looked alright.
No, so it was a deck before they got the extra set. It's like when Buzzmosa was a deck before Reshizard came out, and then we got them in the same set together, and obviously Buzzmosa did nothing as a deck.
Still survived.
No, it didn't. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I played Buzzmosa for a cup. Top 8.
Quad Greens Buzzmosa.
With what was it called then? Miss Magius. So you Miss Magius twice and then Beast Ring.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How'd it go?
Top 8.
Come on.
Lost to a less loose, I think.
Did you?
Yeah, weird.
Lost to a less loose.
Weird.
That is really... Can't believe it. Right, any other thoughts on Masquerade before we go on to a little rant about PTG Live? I know I will.
I'm really interested to see how well Blood Moon Ursaluna does, because I think that's really splashable, very good card that fits in, and it's like a great counter to something like Iron Hands, right? It's something that typically can come and pop up. If Iron Hands comes in, takes 2 prizes, only needs 3 energy. Then if it's in a, we didn't speak about Giratina. If Giratina's still around, it utilizes that very well because it's a nice efficient attacker back into Iron Hands.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's a really good card. I'm interested to see how well it actually does.
It's definitely too big to fail in Lost Zone decks and in Lugia. I think it's like a staple in both of those. But then it's like, it's that card that can be justified in so many decks that makes it cool. I think Dragapult could utilize it as well, to be honest. Like, you're an Arven deck, so you can just play a hit point buff tool as well in your list, even. And then you have this late game of, oh, by the way, there's a huge Blood Moon in your face.
I think it's a great card. I think, like you said, Alex, it's so splashable. You know, you can put it in almost anything, really.
240 is a huge number if Bolt's a deck as well.
And I think it's a must...
he's saying it.
Say it's a must-have. I think it's obviously very synergistic with Stamp. I think if you play Stamp, you've got to be considering it Blood Moon Ursaluna.
What makes you think they both go together?
Well,
what would you be What supporter would you be using at the same time?
Can't you just Iono and Blood Moon stuff?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Arven for your charm.
Okay, so you're saying the full disrupt.
Or your cape.
Certainly.
Certainly good cape.
People still playing now, are we?
Certainly good. Yeah.
Just hand movements. Yeah.
Stamp one. Smack.
Have you thought about Blood Moon in a Pidgeot control, Rab? That's what I'm
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, pennies are plenty.
certainly a penny or two.
Cape onto Ursaluna, 1 energy, smack, 240.
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very good combo. Do you play it over Rad, Zard? Possibly not. Probably play both.
That's what I would imagine you would play both.
You could tank a hit with it. That's
the differential,
redeeming feature of it. Yeah.
And I think, do you play? Here's another one. Stamp. Here's one for you. Stamp in Lost Box.
I think it's fine. I wouldn't do it, but I think it's fine. I think Prime is too OP for that deck.
Yeah.
Because you play minimal gusting effects anyway, so you probably want to utilize that.
Stamp is probably better in Tina than Lost Box.
Just a thought.
Because Tina can play all of its cards. Like once it hits 7, it can play all of its cards then unfair Stamp. Whereas Lost Box has to hold a hand more. That the shuffle draw 5 for you actually hurts you a lot. Whereas with Tina, I don't think it hurts you as much.
Much better in Tina than it is Lost Box. But I think Stamp is definitely something that you'd consider, or put it in the binder in your Lost Box.
I think it. Yeah, there's better decks for it than Lost Box probably.
Yeah. Or you could even Survival Brace.
Right, where are we going with this?
Hello?
I'm just theorying. I'm clicking. I'm clicking. Can you hear the clicking?
Are you just reading these cards for the first time?
This brain.
Yeah, he's definitely just clicked on it.
We're talking legacy energy. We're talking enhanced tower.
So many options.
No, but in all seriousness, Pidgeot control, Blood Moon Ursaluna. Sure.
Well, so if we're talking about Pidgeot control, is there a reason to play the deck over Quadlax in this format?
This is a throwback to the first episode. I think that
we're bringing it back. I think it's often
an
interesting topic.
Yeah.
I think Quadlax is more of a meta pick, if you will. I think it's more of a I'm going to be facing these matchups over these.
Are you just saying buzzwords?
And I'm gonna meta.
Can you just give me some actual answers and not just matchups, dodge?
This is the content people want to hear. No,
I want an actual opinion, not just.
No, I'm about to give you one.
This is actually the same as what me and Ben do in our careers. We literally just have buzzwords.
Oh, Joe, you're not thinking about the whole pie. You're not thinking about the pie. The people are the pie.
Give me the pie in the sky, please.
There's no I in meat team. No, I think that Snorlax is more of a... When I say meta pick, you're playing matchup roulette much more than if you were to take Pidgeot control into a room. And I think
my question is, I think the roulette is worse for Pidgeot now than for a Blocklax. That's the question I'm posing to you.
Why so?
Because I think there's going to be Miraidon or Future Hands in the mix now, which is a lot worse. And I think Ogre Bolt has that capacity to reach on Pidgeot, even if you like Heroes Cape it and missed it and do all this other nonsense. That I think your spread is weaker now. And there's Lugia that has more avenues to like escape compared to a Blocklax, which only gives up one prize a turn and maybe has that escape in it.
I think there's very slim windows to beat Raging Bolt for sure. But
for Pidgeot.
For Pidgeot. But I think I really think there's many more comeback potentials with Stamp now and with Blood Moon Ursula.
Wait, you would play Stamp in Pidgeot? You wouldn't play Heroes?
Hello.
I think it's a consideration.
No, there's just no way.
I think
you're sat there rotoming, bro. You don't want to stamp yourself. You're nerfing yourself. We just said the best combo is Blood Moon Cape.
I think it's a consideration.
Bro, I can't believe that you want Stamp in Pidgeot control. That's wild.
Oh, as long as you got quick search up and go in, I don't think there's
As a deck that only plays one Iono right now, I'm amazed that you think Stamp is the right call. By playing one in a control deck, you're saying you're allowed to prize it and still win a lot of games, even when it's not accessible.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about Cape.
Well, you have to play one Cape. And you play extra hit point buff tools because you can't prize them.
But you can play extra hit buff tools and Stamp.
No, you don't understand. I'm saying you play extra hit point buff tools because it's so painful if you prize it, whereas we're choosing to play one Iono because if you prize it, you shrug and say, that's fine, I can find other ways to win. If Iono was that important right now, you would play 2/3 copies of the card.
I mean, I'm not saying that you put Stamp and Ursaluna into the current list. I'm saying you change the current list.
Okay.
And I'm not sounding like a madman and listing off my theory.
Give me your 60 then. We'll thrash it out right now.
I tell you what, you prove it. And then
3 fire energy.
4.
4.
Missed.
That is insane. How many missed? You can't win with only one missed. That's
5.
Mental. Good. Was that productive? I don't know. There's got to be a nugget in there somewhere. We'll let you guys unearth those nuggets as it unfolds.
The consumers can figure that
out. Well, I don't know if it's just me as someone... Well, I imagine, Alex, for you, with the clock ticking on NAIC, this has been a real frustration that PTG Live, for us certainly in the UK, and I think in the majority of Europe, has had it even worse than NA, as far as I can tell, in that it is impossible for us to play games of PTG Live. So far, I've literally not successfully played a game of the new formats on PTG Live. I don't know if you've had a successful game yourself, Alex. I know there's workarounds now. You can change your computer to be in the US and stuff. It's so scuffed. How is this client this bad? And just let me hear your overall frustrations about it.
I mean, what's interesting is that you can't take what we've just discussed of the late night as it is, because we don't know how the client
how many disconnects,
how it's played a part in the results of that. So let's see if there's going to be a fix at some stage. It's been in the works for a while, apparently. But yeah, incredibly frustrating. It's tough. I'm obviously spending a lot of time having to just think about decks and sort of try and theory how matchups play out. Obviously, there is some of the content that's happened from across the seas and everyone that's been able to play tournaments and things like that. But actually physically, in a client, be able to play games and get sort of that sort of muscle memory of how to play a particular deck against particular matchups, just to kind of get the general thinking and engines going. It's what's really difficult. Of course, we do have and are very blessed to have things like the simulators and the other ways around it as well, which I've kind of toyed around a little bit more recently. But it's kind of also the reason why I've also catered going back to decks I've played right now, rather than thinking too heavily on finding the right Dragapult EX list. I'm re-looking at Lugia, I'm re-looking at Giratina, I'm re-looking at Gardevoir, just these kind of decks that I've played a little bit before because I know generally how the engine works. And that's the toughest thing. Of course, having to balance it off with work and family and just general life is a little bit difficult.
It might be
anyway,
good advice for you regardless. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so just like being able to utilize something like Live or what we had as PTCG before was my way of just churning through games, and at the moment I can't do that.
Rab, have you been left wanting trying to play on Live much?
No,
you play a lot in person, right?
Yeah, I play a lot in person, and plus I get a running commentary from yourself as the live status.
I just want to say,
until you go silent, I'm taking it that it's unplayable.
Yeah. Well, I really just want to go hard in on this, that I think it's completely unacceptable that that's even a possibility. For it to be down for this long as well, way over 24 hours with no fix. And so here I'm playing Pokemon for the long haul. It doesn't matter for me. But imagine someone who's just seen the announcement of Twilight Masquerade, new sets coming, there's excitement, you're trying to get into the game, and your first experience is that. This is genuinely, like, PTG Live is genuinely the biggest threat to preventing new people coming into the game that we have right now. Like, we've had so many great strides in new prizing and cash rewards. We've had tons of constructive debates around like what an invite is and what that structure's like, and I feel like that will be taken into account going into future seasons. And there's so much more eyes on the game in terms of the competitive scene, with every tournament being staggered from Europe and NA, so there's no conflict over broadcast, and there's more that's like on show. There's so many great things have gone in the right direction, but the fact that our client is the flagship way to play the game and it's unusable for any beginner is completely absurd and a joke, honestly. So I am livid, not just because I can't make videos, because I can do in-person ones now as well. Obviously it's hurting me as a content creator, but it is shocking, and I cannot believe they have not devoted more resources to allow this client to function.
Well,
it is unthinkably bad.
You say you shouldn't be upset because not only because you can't make videos, but that should be a massive. That is a connection.
This is their free advertising. This is their free advertising that I can't even do for them.
You should be just as upset because you can't make videos, because I feel
a lot of people have come out saying, I've seen a lot of tweets from, I know LDF, Celio's done a tweet. I think someone even did a video about it. One of the guys from the UK did a video about it. I think For the Win did a video saying that he's had enough, basically. Yeah, super frustrating. Zapdos been frustrating as well about it. So I just cannot think, from the outside looking in, if this is if you just happen to come into the game in the last 2 months and this is what you get, it's just completely absurd that we just accept that this is a thing. And we've accepted this for years. PTG Live is not a new client. They have had so much time to get this not only right, but there's so much that we're still waiting on. We can still only play standard. What is this? It's absurd.
You should get me
I still
on
can't.
the project team.
I still don't have my black and white cards, do I? I don't know. I have my Sun and Moon cards in my collection.
You should have your ace specs.
Do I have my ace spec? Okay, I have Scoop Up Cyclone from black and white era. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I not have my old collection? It's absurd. It's absurd.
Was that ever coming back? I didn't even know.
I
just lost all of that.
We were meant to have everything from Heart Gold Soul Silver on, right? I think we were, weren't we? I think it's in waiting. It might be only black and white on, right? It might just be expanded. I can't remember.
I need to check.
But at the moment, I think
yeah.
The fact that we've got Apex back tells me that at least that's logged somewhere. Anyway,
you'd hope.
Completely absurd that it's not been fixed, and it's unacceptable for a company of this size to be like this. And I know that we are ambassadors for the game in our own right, but I literally cannot stand by with this anymore. It is a joke. It should not happen anymore.
They don't have their own publicity team, do they? PTCG Live. It doesn't have like its own X account or anything like that.
No.
We can't.
It needs
Live.
to.
We just have to.
What to get everyone tweeting it?
I feel like usually with I mean, you can't compare this to like any video games in the market or whatever you want to call them, but well, you want to call them video games, but usually with situations like this where the development has gone SQF, you'd get like roadmaps, right, and you'd get promises, and you'd get
lack of communication.
We're fixing this, and
constant
issue. This is going to be our objective moving forward. But I feel like with the great lack of communication and the consistent issues always being around this sort of time when a new set is out, or rotation, or anything like that, it makes me feel that there is no consistent development on the app, and they only develop it when they need to.
Yeah.
And they just publish, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with it. I'll revisit it in a week. Because the resources are either not there, like you said, or there isn't a project team around it. There isn't a business as usual around PTCG.
It's honestly baffling. Because
I remember when it first came out.
I despair. I honestly don't want to do a video ever again on live because I am just sick to death of it. I've tried to go with it for as long as I can, but I honestly feel like I shouldn't give this any attention at all because it doesn't deserve to be played by anyone. It's not a good experience, and the game doesn't bloody work. Like, how can this game just not work?
Is it Cyberpunk of Pokemon? No,
it is the Cyberpunk.
I remember when it first got announced, and everybody was already comparing to like Arena or Duel Links, from other TCGs, and we basically got a phone application on a desktop, basically.
Dude, I can't believe we rejoiced the fact that Direwolf were not able to develop the game anymore and it was going in-house. Like, I remember being so happy about the possibilities of this.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, it's well documented.
How wrong?
It's documented well by Mahone and Trusty Pilot and people like that as well. And I always echo the same message they have. It's that if you actually got people who are involved with the game and people who are passionate about improving the experience of newer players and existing players, you will always have a successful client because they all know exactly.
Bro, the bar is so low.
The customer wants.
Let the game work should happen out the box, bro. It shouldn't be.
No, I agree.
It should not be a question that the game can break. Like, sure, a card can break, but the game itself has been broken for 2 days.
I think what I was trying to get onto is that it's not just it not only doesn't work, but it's also a bad experience.
Oh yeah, like we grit our teeth and the experience is horrific, but this is a new level. This is actually trolling at this point, and they're hurting their own brand, and they're denying potential new players from getting into the game and sticking around. Like, you could easily just lose customers from this, even just from a marketing sense, so it's absurd.
Alex, you're eerily quiet. Are you responsible for this?
Oh, yeah, obviously. Unfortunately not. I wish I was involved somehow just to kind of support this. But, I mean, because we speak about how bad the client has been. They've got loads of great ideas within it itself to, like, try and get people more and more involved and actually enjoy the game. You know, the
battle pass is
system.
The only thing that I think is good.
Exactly. The ladder system and not the ladder system. I was going to say
ladder
battle
system
pass
is
system.
not
Sorry,
correct.
That's what I meant to say. And the fact that you can get decks, even if it's just the half decks to begin with, and kind of slowly build up to it, you kind of start to learn the game quite a lot just through that.
Completely agree.
You know, spoke to Oliver Fenley, obviously a good friend of mine, and everyone knows as well. But he was just like, actually opened up live and actually kind of enjoy it because I can get the decks quite easily and I can go through these things with ease. It's not TCGO, but we were so used to, but it kind of worked and he didn't even face that many bugs. But yeah, this is kind of groundbreaking.
Well, ask him to go on today. See how he feels about it today.
I mean, he's probably actively avoiding it. Well, he can, right? But Oh, is
You
it?
can
Ellis
get
is
your
down
decks,
right now?
you just can't play
Yeah.
them, bro.
Okay. Well, that's that's a whole nother story, and yeah, you've kind of echoed our whole thoughts about it already, Joe. There's already much
Yeah,
else we can say.
I came out hot. I'm going to be honest. I have been rattled by it all day. All of last night I was seething, and I'm still angry.
Joe was ready to stream and everything, and it just collapsed.
Barbara and work asking.
I was
Joe,
ready
why
for
are
an
you- Joe,
8-hour
why are you
stream,
so
bro.
angry? Joe, why are you so angry today?
Yeah.
And that's how the barber ended up with that haircut. Just
Really?
Yeah, my hair.
Give me the-
My hair. I actually just pulled my hair out. There was no barber. It was just me pulling my hair out.
Sending really
And then we got
flippant
down.
emails and work.
As per my last email. Yeah.
Just lots of passive aggressiveness wherever possible.
Get
Yeah.
in tomorrow. Sorry, the client was down again. I just
Right. I'm spent. I'm angry. I feel like writing a letter now.
What's that?
So
Oh, please.
what's the AOB?
yeah, is there any other business, lads, or are we happy to leave it there? I think we've gone on a decent chunk of time.
I've got a cup.
Here we go.
obviously.
I've got
Another cup.
a cup this weekend as well.
I've got another cup.
Another.
Are you
cup.
going to win 3 in a row?
Are you gonna-
Is that on?
Are you
Hang
gonna
on, Alex. You're not going Bologna, but you're doing a cup. What is this?
Bologna's not this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why.
It's like,
I was like, what? That's wild. I'm thinking about it so much. I've got to prepare so much for it.
you've actually got one more weekend, because I kind of think last week you were like, you've got to come over this week if you wanted to test with me, and I was like, hang on.
Yeah.
What's he doing bank holiday weekend?
I am actually just going to... I plan to bulk record PTCG live. That's why I'm so angry, is that I have no time. I'm travelling to Italy, then NAIC, and I will have no videos on the channel for 2 weeks because I can't bulk record for live. I am seething.
Do you need someone
Should we
to
play-
edit?
should we-
Oh.
Should we play some sim games, Joe? You can record those.
Honestly, at this point, I think Lim Sim might genuinely be content that comes out on the channel, which is horrific. Or it's me playing in person against myself.
So you
think
just-
those are-
Turning around on the table.
It's me in a Quagsire plush on the other side of the table.
How I've just taken as that is Joe would rather play himself in person than lim sim with me. But all right, I see how it is. I'm joking.
No, I mean, Lim Sim's a horrible viewer experience.
Yeah, I know, I
think
know.
I use it most days for practice, but it is no doubt a horrible viewer experience. Otherwise, I'd be streaming it right now.
Are you going to Swansea Cup on the weekend, Alex?
Yeah, sorry,
No.
where are you going for the cup?
So
Mine's-
I actually was. I think I was supposed to have 2 cups, one on Sunday and one on Bank Holiday Monday. But I don't think I'm going to the Sunday one. Sunday one's like in Essex, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the Monday is in Brighton.
Oh, it's a Monday cup. Cool.
I forgot it was bank holiday. That's really cool.
And you're going Swansea round.
Yeah, Swansea on Sunday.
Lads.
16 players. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
If my cup was not best of 1, I'd be playing lax as well.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
interesting.
lie. It's probably gonna be nice.
Yeah.
I'm still considering it in the best of 1, to be honest.
Well, it's not bad. Just pass fast. I told you.
I've already told you in a message. I don't think I'll be the problem.
Yeah, it's not down to Alex.
Just get your iPhone out and then the timer and then just like.
Someone benches a Squova, you're like,
Just
I'll never forget the moment where Toby played Toby Clark at Liverpool. He benched a Squova, and all this time we were playing for about 10, 15 minutes at that point. Benched the Squova, and we both looked at each other and went.
he did the same when me and Joe were at Aldershot Cup, when Joe lent me the Snorlax and then decided to tech for me by playing a deck that smashed. I think I faced up against Toby. We sat there and we're like, how does this go? And then he's like, wait, hang on, you have Squovit. I can't win. This is bad.
I remember.
And then,
I remember asking him, "Are you playing any cards?" He said no. He said no, and then we both took a tie.
be honest, are you playing any of them? Or... Nah. Just leave it.
I was trolling on the League Challenge on Tuesday as well. I put down Artisan, and I was saying to my opponents, "Oh no, now you can get Bidoof. I've missed.
You're such a grief.
You are the worst.
You need to hold yourself up to
one of
better
those
standards,
guys,
mate. You are terrible.
Funny though.
It is a laugh. Good.
It's a laugh.
I think that's it. Are we gonna record next week? I'm gonna be away, but I guess I could record out there. I'm planning to bring my recording stuff actually, because I have no confidence that I'll be able to pre-record enough. So I can have my recording stuff out there with me.
I'll edit it.
I mean, all you need is your mic, right?
Yeah, I'll bring my mic. I'll bring my camera, so I should be fine. Cool.
Yeah,
All right then.
we can make it
next
work.
week it is.
See.
Cheers, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.